I think that's one of the old buckets from the tramways.
There's something special about small trains running through big scenery. Those tiny engines puffing through quarries, over wooden trestles, across misty hills. They capture a charm that full-size railways never quite can. Welcome to the world of narrow gauge modelling, where imagination and craftsmanship meet in miniature. In this video we'll explore what narrow gauge means, the scales modellers use, the prototypes that inspire them, and how you can start your own journey into this captivating part of the hobby. So what is narrow gauge? Well, in real life, a gauge is the distance between the rails. Standard gauge, the one used most on British mainline railways, is 4 feet and 8.5 inches. But many smaller industrial and rural lines were built to narrower measurements, often 2 or 3 feet apart. Why? Because narrow gauge railways were cheaper to build, easier to lay through tight curves and steep gradients, and ideal for carrying goods from mines, quarries and forests. Across Britain, narrow gauge lines serve slate quarries in Wales, peat bogs in Ireland and rural communities in Devon and Cornwall. Because each line built its own unique engines and stock, no two looked quite the same. That individuality, that handmade charm, is exactly what narrow gauge modellers love to recreate. The British narrow gauge story really took off in the mid-1800s. Lines like the Festiniog Railway in North Wales, built to carry slate from the quarries of Blaenau Festiniog, pioneering the use of small but powerful locomotives on light, twisting track. The Talliflin, Corris and Welsh Highland Railways followed, each developing their own distinctive locomotives and carriages. When the slate industry declined, enthusiasts stepped in. The Festiniog was one of the first preserved railways in the world. Its first passenger train ran as long back as 1955. Today, model railway builders continue that tradition, not just preserving history, but reimagining it in creative ways. Narrow gauge modelling is clever. It uses the relationship between scale and track width to achieve that distinctive small line look. Here's how the main scales break down. 009, HON30, is the most popular narrow gauge format in the UK. It uses double O scale models, 1/76 scale of real life, running on N gauge track, which is 9mm wide. hence the name 009. That means you can build realistic narrow gauge scenes on layouts as small as a coffee table or even a pizza box. Manufacturers like Bachmann, Pico, Helgen and Dundas offer ready-to-run models, so it's more accessible than ever. Next, we have O16.5, or ON30 scale as it's known in the United States. This uses O-scale rolling stock, about 1 in 43 scale, on HO or OO gauge track. The larger scale makes detailing easier, perfect for industrial, quarry or logging lines. It's a favourite amongst builders who enjoy weathering and handcrafted scenery. On the continent, HOE represents European narrow gauge HO scale trains running on a 9mm track, popular for alpine or Austrian forest lines. In America, HON3 uses a 10.5mm track to represent the classic Colorado and Canadian mining routes. Then there are the experimental and artistic scales, GN15, 09, 014 and others. These use larger models running on smaller track, giving them an enormous presence in a small space. They're ideal for creative, almost whimsical layouts, industrial scenes, factory tramways or fantasy micro layouts.
It's based on models that Alan Brack made.
Each of these scales offers something different, whether it be size, realism or character. 009 gives you compact scenic layouts, O16.5 gives scale detail, and the GN15s give imagination and free rein.
This is old school TT, 3-month, TT 120, TT 120, 4mm, N gauge. One I made earlier. Yeah, this is the second one.
Put it on in little bundles and then cut it.
Really nice.
One of the reasons modellers love narrow gauge is the freedom it offers. Unlike mainline railways, where accuracy to the inch is often so essential, narrow gauge lines are individual, improvised and full of quirks. That makes them perfect for creative builders. Many narrow gauge modellers scratch build locomotives using scare parts, resin kits or 3D prints. Because there's no standard design, you can invent your own company, paint scheme and story. Some create realistic Welsh quarry scenes with weathered slate and misty hills. Others invent entirely fictional worlds, rural tramways, moorland freight lines, or even misty fantasy mining routes. Narrow gauge layouts are often known for their atmosphere. Because the trains are small, the scenery dominates, giving you sweeping landscapes, deep valleys and rugged textures. Modellers use layered back scenes, subtle lighting and weathering to create mood. A narrow gauge layout isn't just a loop of track, it's a miniature world. The sound of the loco, the crunch of the gravel under the wheels, the glow of a signal lamp, all these details help bring it to life. Some layouts even use smoke effects, LED lighting or digital sound to make the experience more immersive. It's as much art as it is engineering. If you're looking for real-world inspiration, Britain is full of living examples. Festiniog and Welsh Highland Railways in North Wales showcase stunning mountain scenery. The Taliesin and the Forest Railways in Mid Wales offer charming rural lines with Victorian character. Down in Devon, the Linton and Barnstalls restoration shows what's possible with patient preservation. Each of these lines provides endless modelling inspiration, from slate wagons and small diesel locos to beautifully detailed stations nestled in the hills. When you're building a narrow gauge model railway, there's no better source of inspiration than the real preserved lines still running today across Britain. Visit any preserved narrow gauge line and you'll find things that you won't notice on the main line. Hand-laid track with uneven sleeper spacing, home-built wagons, tiny station buildings, and this delightful mix of old and new stock. These real-world details give your layout authenticity. Preservation railways are also fantastic places for studying locomotives up front, whether it's the Welsh slate lines, the industrial peat railways or the heritage tourist routes. You can photograph cab details, weathering patterns and mechanical features up close that are hard to find in books. And it's not just the trains. Look at the scenery. Many preserved lines run through tight curves, steep gradients, forests, lakes and rugged hillside cuttings. These dramatic landscapes make perfect inspiration for layout backdrops and scenic designs. So when you are planning your layout, take a trip to a heritage narrow gauge railway, soak up the atmosphere, capture the details, and above all, have a great day out. If you're just starting out, 009 is the easiest way in. Bachmann and other manufacturers ready to run locomotives and train packs, Pico's track and points, and a wealth of kits make it simple to begin with. Start small, a single station or quarry siding, build slowly, learn as you go, and focus on atmosphere over size. Narrow gauge layouts thrive in small spaces, or even on a shelf or coffee table, or even a suitcase. Join a local society like the 009 Society, or just visit exhibitions such as Narrow Gauge South or Worley at Statfold. You'll find inspiration, advice, and a welcoming community. The narrow gauge community is one of the most supportive in the modelling world. Builders love sharing tips, showing layouts, and celebrating creativity. At exhibitions you'll find everything from detailed quarries to small industrial scenes, each with its own story. Many modellers say the best part isn't the trains, it's the people. A shared love of craftsmanship and nostalgia keeps the narrow gauge spirit alive. And that's the world of narrow gauge modelling. Small trains, big scenery, and endless ideas. Whether you're inspired by the real railways or your own imagination, there's no better way to tell a story in miniature than narrow gauge modelling. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe to Greasy Rails, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.